Good morning, Howard Hanna, and thank you so much for being with me this morning. I am excited that Jackie gave me the opportunity to serve all of you today, and I just wanted to share a few ideas about this crazy time that we're going through and give you some encouragement of stepping out the other side of it. If you don't know me already, I'm Terry Johnson with Ninja Selling. I've been a licensed realtor, just like all of you, since February 3rd of 1990. So I'm in my 31st year in the business. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada as of now. I have been teaching and coaching full-time for the last 10 years. I started in August of 2010. So I sold full-time for 21 years and then took on a business partner so that I could do this. So just thank you so much for being willing to spend the day with me today, or a few minutes with me today. And I wanted to speak a little bit about the thought process of mindset. I was going to change my topic because here we are, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 weeks into this COVID pandemic. And yet every time I talk to an owner, a manager, a leader, an agent, it seems as though some of us are still kind of in a place where I just wish I could get my mindset a little bit better. So I made the decision to do what we always do in Ninja, which is mindset, skill set, and then actions. So I wanted to start with the word mindset. And if you've been in one of my classes before, you've already seen the definition that we use. And that is a set of beliefs or a way of thinking that determines one's behavior, outlook, and mental attitude. And this definition, up until around the second week of March, excuse me, was a definition that I felt very confident in. The problem with this pandemic is that as I began to decide, what would I like to share with my friends, which is you? What would I like to share? I thought to myself, I don't have a set of beliefs, a way of thinking, or a mental attitude that encompasses a pandemic. And I'm almost certain that you probably don't either. I wonder if any of you on this call are anything like me. And what I mean by that is, have there been days, has there been a day, has there been an hour, has there been minutes where you just completely came unwound? You were emotional, you were crying, you were mad, you were lashing out, you were not yourself. And if it hasn't happened to you, let me tell you that it's certainly happened to me. And for me, this has been a little bit odd because I don't tend to be a super emotional person. In fact, I hide behind to protect myself that I've cried all my tears in the past and I don't have any tears left, right? That just hides the hurt. Well, here's the truth. They're back, which I find to be good news because I'm liking the fact that I've got some emotion left in me. However, it comes out at the most inopportune times. It's even come out on these Zoom calls sometimes, and I go, what is your problem? And here's what I remembered as I was thinking through this whole mindset thing is I might not have a mindset that encompasses a pandemic, but what I do have is a choice. Ninja speaks constantly about the choice we have, whether we're going to be a player or a victim. And so I want to encourage you today, like I've encouraged myself daily, that I'm a player. I've always been a player. When life happens, I've been a player. Some of you kind of know my story. I'm not going to unpack that today. I don't have time to. But if you're not a player, life can get you down. And let me clarify what I mean by player, especially in this time. What I mean by player is you're one of those people that you show up. No matter what's going on, you show up. And you show up with the right mindset. You might have to adjust it before you get there, but you show up with the right mindset. What it doesn't mean is if I cry, if I'm mad, if I lash out, if I pull the covers over my head and sleep for another hour, I'm not a player. That's not true. We all have both good and bad days. But am I functionally at my homeroom a player? Am I showing up and am I giving the best of what I've got to offer today to the world around me? That's really what a player is. And that's what I want us to be focused on is, am I showing up in the best possible way that I can for the circumstances that are around me. I don't typically share somebody else's stories, but I'm going to share a story that I asked permission to share because it's so pertinent to what we're going through right now. The author of Ninja Selling is Larry Kendall, and Larry Kendall said that he was in the office just a few weeks ago whenever he was there filming a video, and he saw a friend of his. Her name's Patty Phillips, and he said to Patty, Patty, how are you feeling? How's things going? How are you doing? How's the family, schooling, work, and so on. And he said that her answer stopped him in his tracks. He said, evolving? Tell me more about that. And as she began to unpack what she meant by evolving, I think you and I can relate. I know I certainly can. If you happen to have been licensed during the Great Recession, if you happen to have been licensed in the late 80s, early 90s, you were evolving then too. We might not have called it evolving, but what that meant was I'm trying to figure out how to manipulate and maneuver myself and this market so that I can still be effective. Okay, I'm doing what I can to be effective. So I looked up the definition of evolution, which we've all seen before. It's the definition we've all seen, we've all heard, and that is the ability of a species to change or adapt to its environment in order to survive. Well, I want to take this, and I took the liberty of just doing this with no one's permission, and change this definition. If you happen to consider yourself a ninja, so you've been through a ninja class and you're doing your very best to stay on the ninja path, or if you work for a ninja company like Howard Hanna, here's my definition of evolution. The ability of a ninja to change or adapt to its environment to not only survive, but thrive through any market. You may or may not remember this, but during the installation, we talk about the fact that regardless of the market, one of the 4 points of a ninja is that it works regardless of the market, regardless of our personality, and so on. But no matter what's going on in the market, we're successful. Why? Because number one, we choose to show up as a player. Number two, we're not only wanting to survive, we want to thrive. See, if you just want to survive this time, then you might fall into that victim mindset. There was a study, not a study, I'm sorry, the amazing Dr. Stephen Covey, late Dr. Stephen Covey, and I'll share more about him later, but he had what was called an emotional energy quadrant. And it had two axes, and it was positive and negative, and high and low, positive and negative. Okay, so it made a quadrant, high and low, positive and negative. And there were 4 emotional energy quadrants that we can show up at any time. And that is high negative, low negative, high positive, low positive. See, the people that are on the low side or the negative side of the energy quadrant, they're hoping to just survive this pandemic. The people that are on the positive side are also hoping to survive, but they're thinking along these lines. I not only want to survive, but I want to thrive. When I finally got my head wrapped around where we were, why we were, what was going on, and I say that because I did fall in the negative side for a few days, 3 to be exact, and I'll tell you more about that. I said to myself, what are you doing? I mean, this has got to be a time where you have the opportunity to become what you've always said you want to become, to start being like you've always wanted to be. You shouldn't be surviving this, you should be thriving through this. So Terry, what do you want that to look like? So more of Larry's story, and I promise I'll make this weave in beautifully to the tapestry of what we're coming through this looking like on the other side. So Larry goes on this call to share with us, Larry Kendall, that he and his wife, Pat, had taken a vacation to the Galapagos Islands. And I thought, wow, like I certainly don't know anybody that's been there. Like, here's the truth. I didn't even know where they were. I've probably watched a documentary or something of the like on Discovery, but I Googled the Galapagos Islands, and oh my goodness, am I glad that I did. I began to to marry Ninja and this whole Galapagos Islands story. So let me tell you a few facts about them, in case you don't know, like I didn't know a lot about them. So the Galapagos Islands are an extremely remote set of islands in the Pacific. And they're so remote that they have their own ecosystem. They don't share it with anyone. So I thought that was interesting. Then all of the, not human beings, but the plants, the animals, the fish, the birds, all the living reptiles, everything that are on the Galapagos Islands, the majority of them, and majority, I don't mean 51%, I mean like over 90% of what exists on the Galapagos Islands only exists on the Galapagos Islands. So I began to think, wow, so they have their own ecosystem and they're so different than everything else because they don't share anything. And I don't mean share like give to others. I mean, what they have on their islands is their own because of how remote they are, how different they are. So I want to share a picture with you. It's a real picture. You can Google it after our chat today. And it's one of the birds on the island. And these birds are called blue-footed boobies. And I just got to tell you, by the way, this is a real picture. I love their name. I just think that is so cute. Blue-footed boobies, right? Okay. So I Googled them as well. And I learned a little bit more about the blue-footed boobies. And I began to really think like a ninja. And I think to myself, we're just like blue-footed boobies, us ninjas. Let me tell you why. So first of all, let's take that ecosystem of the islands as a whole. See, there's about 1.37 million realtors in the nation. 60,000, Larry Kendall says, have been exposed to or call themselves are working as ninjas, okay? Some form of ninja they've been exposed to. So let's start with that ecosystem. We're very different in that we're not like the whole planet, the 1.37. We're like the Galapagos Islands in that we're different. And why do I mean we're different? If you're a ninja, you already know this. If you're not, you're probably wondering. But ninjas are, if you don't know one and you meet one, you'll get this. And that is that they're different. They're very giving. They're very all encompassing. They'll share anything. They're beautiful. They're attractive. They're smart. They listen to right things. They read the right books. They hang out with the right people. One of our 4 unique principles in Ninja is, number 1, actually, by the way, is to stop selling and start attracting. See, because nobody likes to be sold. So we've got to be attractive in some way. And no, I don't mean to look at. Some of us might be, some of us might not be. It's not about that at all. I am certainly, look at these blue-footed boobies. They're gorgeous, right? I mean, their feathers are all perfect. Their makeup is all perfect. Their little feet are perfect. They're beautiful, but they're attractive. And that's what ninjas are. See, people meet ninjas, people, even other agents in the market, leaders in the market will say to a ninja company something along the lines of, you guys are so different. What is it about you? Well, we're attractive. People want to be around us. They say things like, what are you watching? What do you listen to? Who do you hang out with? What are you reading? What's the best book you've ever read? What are you reading right now, Terry? And that's because they see that we're different. We're kind of like blue-footed boobies. Now, I'm quite certain I'll never get Larry Kendall to change the name of ninjas to blue-footed boobies, but do you see the correlation? We're one of a kind, and we're very different than the majority. Now, one little tiny tidbit I want to share with you, just because I thought it was cute, but it's completely irrelevant, is that the folks that live on the Galapagos Islands have capitalized on the fact that they have these beautiful birds, and they sell t-shirts that say, I've been there and I saw the blue-footed boobies. All right, one more tidbit about the Galapagos Islands. Charles Darwin started his work on origin of the species on the Galapagos Islands. All of this, by the way, folks, I had no idea whatsoever. When I saw it, I thought, how could you not know this? But I didn't, okay? So he starts his work there, and we've all seen this Charles Darwin quote. I want to share it with you. And the main reason I want to share it with you is because I want to read you my version of the quote when I'm done. So let's first give credit where credit's due. Charles Darwin said, we've all seen this. It is not the strongest of species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that's most adaptable to change. Now, my guess is with hundreds of you on here that the majority don't know anything about me. I am not going to give you my story, my past, my story. We all have one. But I am going to give you a couple of tidbits before I read you my version of this quote. I jokingly say, and please, I have a great mindset. I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm not a victim. But I made a lot of mistakes in life. In fact, I jokingly say that I probably made my first really wise decision probably at about the age 35. So thankfully, I've got a few decades under my belt now. But the truth is, I made a lot of bad decisions. And consequently, life didn't go exactly the way that I wanted it to. I graduated from high school. That's my claim to fame. Didn't go to college, was offered a full ride, didn't take it, another bad decision. But I now want to read you this quote from my vantage point. And the reason I want to do this is because I hope that there's someone on this call that if you feel like you're inferior or you can't do it or you don't have what everybody else has, today's a new day, friends. Let's turn over a new leaf, okay? All right, so here's my version. I am not the strongest. I guarantee you I'm not the most intelligent. But I am where I am today because of my amazing ability to adapt to change. If we don't learn how to adapt to change, friends, we will not become all that we were created to be. There's a purpose for each and every one of us on this planet. There's even a purpose within this pandemic. Am I adapting to the change in such a way that I'm thriving through this market and not just surviving? See, what I feel, and we're maybe starting to come out the other side of this, but maybe not, we just don't know for sure. But what I know for certain is that I could get you out of the fear of the unknown if I could bring you clarity, because that's how we overcome fear. Here's the problem. I can't bring you any clarity today with regard to where we are in the pandemic. I can't. Our president doesn't know, our governors don't know, our mayors don't know, the CDC doesn't know. Nobody really knows what this is going to turn out like. So I can't bring you clarity to alleviate or as the antidote to your fear. I feel like as a nation right now, and I don't mean you and I because we have a choice whether we buy into this or not, but I feel like as a nation, we're circling the drain of fear. And if we don't stop that, we'll never get back on the track we need to be on to be who we were called to be. But the other antidote to fear that I can encourage you to and bring total clarity is the action piece. Action is an antidote to fear. Funny, on days like today, I'm in Las Vegas, you're in the Eastern time zone, okay? So today, I had no time to get up and feel sorry for myself, have a pity party, cry a little while. I got out of bed at 5 o'clock. I got ready. I was excited. I was taking action because I got to do what I love to do, which is be with you, be with my friends, encourage my friends, do what I feel I do best. In this season of my life. And so action brought an antidote to any fear that might have overcome me this early morning. So what I want to ask you is, are you taking the actions that you can take in order to clarify or get rid of your fear? Now, you might need to do this every moment, every hour, every day, I don't know. But what I do know is that it's up to me. I'm going to choose whether or not I'm going to show up like a player and take action for today or for this hour or whatever the case may be. Like I mentioned, the late Dr. Stephen Covey, he introduced these three circles to us years ago in a book called the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I want to share a couple of tidbits with you about this. Now, Larry Kendall shared in his webinar, his free webinar this past April, about these 3 circles. By the way, if you haven't seen all 5 of our free webinars, please have somebody in your organization reach out to me and let me get them to you. But he talked about these 3 circles, and I want to share yet deeper about these 3 circles. So let's talk first about where is my focus? What am I thinking about? Because what I focus on expands. That's a ninja-ism if you've not heard it before. What I think about the most, I get more of. So where is my focus? There's 3 circles that Dr. Covey says that we're focused on at any given time. So let's start with the circle of concern. The circle of concern is exactly that. It's something that I'm concerned about, but I certainly can't do anything about it. I'm concerned about the virus. I don't want to get the virus. I don't want my grown children and my grandchildren to get the virus. I'm concerned about the economic condition of our country. I'm concerned about the election this year. There's all kinds of things I'm concerned about, but I can't do anything but my own part to influence that circle of concern. So I can't do much about it. You know, it's funny, before this pandemic, here's what I used to say I was concerned about. I'm just an avid San Francisco Giants fan, okay? And no offense, Cleveland Indians. I love baseball, right? So I'm super concerned this year, before the season was basically canceled, that they were going to just be horrible all year. I mean, management did not check with me to see who I thought should play first, who I thought should play right field, who I thought the new manager should be. They didn't even ask me. After all these years of being a fan and subscribing to MLB.com and all that, they didn't even ask me. That's part of the circle of concern, right? I can't do anything about it. I'm just concerned about it. But now let's talk about the important 2 circles. And that is the circle first of influence. Who do you have influence over? Oh, Terry, I don't have influence over anybody. I'm just not that person. I live alone. I don't have influence over anyone. Not true. You have influence over anyone that you share with, that you speak to. But let's start first with something you might not even be thinking about. You have influence over yourself. Are you getting up every single morning and deciding what you want your day to look like, go like, and end like? Because I have the choice of what I'll start my day like, which will typically influence the rest of my day. So am I taking good care of me first? How about all the people in my circle that love me, that I love? My significant other, my children, my nieces and nephews, my people that are the closest to me. They might not be in your home, but they're the people that we're influencing by how we're responding. Am I one of those people that's out there influencing in a very positive, looking for the silver lining? What's the best thing I can take away from what's going on in this pandemic? Or am I the opposite? Am I one of those that is spewing conspiracy theory and my opinion and anger and fear and anxiety? Because it's a choice. What is my influence? And then let's talk about the third component of influence, which is all those people that see us as their proactive, trusted real estate advisor. They're looking to us right now to see how we're responding. For some of you, they're even asking you, what do you think is going to happen? I encourage you, again, if you haven't listened to the webinars, to listen, because our canned answer should be, but I mean our by Ninja, is, well, tell me, how are you, what are you thinking might happen? And then I'll share with you what I know. And they'll share what they think, and you go, okay, but don't give your opinion. You're not a politician. You're not an infectious disease doctor. You're not, you don't work for the CDC. We're their realtor. So our response should be something like this. You know, that's a good, I see why you would look at it that way. Hey, listen, what I could do is I could send you, how about I do this? How about I send you all the activity from March and April of 2019 and March and April of 2020, and I'll send it to you in 2 separate PDFs so you can compare them side by side, and you can determine what you think the outcome is looking like. And then if you want to call me back and we can talk about it. But we are an influence, and they will ask us what we think as if we know what's going on. If nobody else knows, why would we know, right? But they see us as their proactive, trusted real estate advisor. Are we responding to them in that manner? Now let's talk about the circle of control. I love talking about this one because it's the only one we have any control over. When I checked with Howard Hanna and said, can I please share with you guys? I just want to give you my time. I want to be with you. I want to help people get through this time. So when we come out the other side, we're ready. And they said, yes. What I can't do is control you. I can't make you get up every morning in the right state of mind, do your morning routine, reach out to your people, do every bit of the essential part of your business that you can do from wherever your county or state says you can do it from. I can't control that. I can only influence it. But what we can control is ourselves. What I can control is how I respond to this pandemic, to my business, to my family, to being a homeschool teacher, if you're doing that these days. By the way, those are the superheroes of this pandemic, as far as I'm concerned, is all the people that have turned into homeschool teachers on the fly because we were called to do that. And if we wanted our children to be good through this, we did. Kudos to you. So I can control myself. So I want to ask you this. We don't talk much about this. You've probably not had a town hall about this. We don't talk to many people about this, maybe our besties, but that's about it, right? And that is, how about the financial pressure that we're under? We've got a lot of fear. I've already kind of addressed this fear thing, but now I want to talk about the financial pressure that we're not really talking about, but several of us may or may not be under some sort of financial pressure. So I want to remind you first and foremost that in most states, we've been deemed essential in some way, shape, or form. I'm hearing this often, so I want to present this to you. I did not ask your leadership because this market is way too broad, but I'm hearing things like our market's down 40%, our market's down 50%. Last week in Toronto, Canada, they told me their market is down 70%. Okay, so let's just go with 50% because it's pretty close to that, give or take 10% in a lot of places. So your market's down 50%. Okay, but I'm a ninja and I've got to work every angle I can in my mindset to show up the way I should. If your market's down 50%, may I submit to you that what your market really is 50% of the people are actually out there doing everything they can, and they're making 50% of the business happen. If all of us are out there, I wonder if 100% would be happening. I don't know, I'll never know. But instead of saying the market's down 50%, how about we reflect on those that are willing to do whatever it takes during this pandemic. They're being careful, they're being smart, but they're doing everything that they've been deemed essential to do, and 50% of the business is happening. So they're showing up like players, whether they're a ninja or not. They're not choosing victimhood, they're choosing to be a player, and they're showing up. So number one with regard to our financial is show up, be careful, be smart, but you're essential. Just true story. Let's talk about it for a moment. I won't ask you. You don't need to comment in the question and answer section or the chat. But my last class, I walked out of the doors of a class on March the 5th in Kansas City, Kansas. Got a paycheck for that class. That's the last paycheck I got. I will not be getting a paycheck until And I'm believing through my rose-colored glasses that my 2 classes scheduled for the last 2 weeks in July will come through. They're in Florida. So I'll get paid. I got paid March 5th, and I'll get paid at the end of July. So I'm going 4.5, 5 months without a paycheck. Here's another way to look at it. If I wasn't on here with you, I would be going 4 or 5 months without any practice at what I do for a living. Now, I know we jokingly in Ninja, we talk about the fact that we practice on our clients, which we shouldn't, but we do. It's kind of an industry thing. However, can you imagine not doing anything or very, very little or just enough to squeak by for 4 or 5 months and then being paid to do something, and being paid very well, by the way, because we get paid very well for being realtors, and we haven't even practiced? I want to encourage you that, yes, I realize that we have been out of the loop for quite some time, but I want to encourage you to do what you can during this time and keep your saw sharp. Part of the reason I have been volunteering to do these calls, and I'll do another one if they allow me, or 3, by the way, is that I want to stay sharp. I want to stay on top of my game, because when I'm cut loose in July, I need to get up in front of that room and deliver an A+ in content. And I can only do that if I remain practiced and up to speed on what I know to do. So what I guess I'm really asking you is, are you willing to keep your saw sharp? I know that we don't all love what's going on, but are you willing to do your part for you and your people, your family, your sphere of influence, and so on? One thing that we could do is quit calling it social distancing and call it physical distancing. I'm a rule follower. If you say I'm not supposed to be within 6 feet of people, I'm not within 6 feet of people. I'm a rule follower. I always have been. But I don't want a social distance. I will physical distance, but not social. And here's why. I know a lot, and I haven't been schooled. I read a lot. I've learned a lot. And that is, I've learned a lot about human beings and how we think and how we function. We were not created to be isolated. This isolation has been dangerous for people. We were created for relationship. So let's call it physical distancing instead of social distancing. I know you've probably seen this quote before, but I want to share a really funny story about this. So success often comes to those who get in front of the inevitable. Quite frankly, I think success almost always comes to those who get in front of the inevitable. So I promise I'll lace this into our lesson today, because it will apply to you as much as it applies to me and applied to me during this story. So my brother moved to Oahu, I don't know, 15, 18 years ago. And he met his wife there, and they got married, and my mom and I went to the wedding. And so again, about 10 or 12 or 15 years ago, we go to the wedding and we fly to Oahu. And my brother and I are very close. We're the only 2 siblings. We talk every day. We love each other. We think each other are amazing. And so my brother says this to me while I'm there. He goes, "Sis, I really want you to learn to surf," because he loves to surf. His teenage son at the time, now an adult, loves to surf. And I said, okay, cool. Now, if you're a surfer, you can start laughing, okay? Because here was my thought process. I know how to snowboard. No, not snowboard. I know how to snow ski, water ski, roller skate. How hard can it be? I'm not afraid of water. In fact, to a fault, I'm kind of gutsy, okay? I love adventure. So I go, sure, let's do it. Now my mom, of course, is going, honey, I don't think this is a good idea. You don't know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Mom, seriously, you take pictures, I'm gonna be fine, right? That picture, by the way, is not me. So my brother, we rent this surfboard for me, and he and his son and myself, we walk to the edge of the surf, and here's what he says to me. He goes, so here's the deal, sis. You do everything I say and everything I do. You just keep your eyes on me, and I mean, just everything I do, you do it. I'm like, you got it. You're the expert. I don't even have a clue what I'm doing. And so we begin to paddle out there. Now, if you've never surfed, you probably haven't thought of, because I hadn't, how they get out there. Because if you've ever watched surfing, they're all out there. They're out there floating, waiting for the wave. So my brother says, let's paddle out there and then I'll tell you what to do. And I go, great. So I lay down on my board and I start paddling, right? And I'm not even kidding you guys. It might have been 5 minutes, but it seemed like 5 days later. I'm nowhere near out there. I'm paddling, right? What had never dawned on me was when they paddle out there, they're paddling against the current, the tide, the waves. It's so hard to get out there. Now, 5 minutes in, my brother's out there and I'm nowhere near out there. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. I mean, and I'm not afraid of a shark or drowning. I'm afraid I'm gonna have a heart attack. I am paddling for everything I'm worth, and it's like I'm not getting anywhere. So I keep paddling and I'm looking and he's watching me and I'm like, oh, I'm good, right? And I keep paddling. And I'm like, how am I ever gonna get there? I finally get there and I noticed that all of the surfers, as soon as they got there, they turned their surfboards towards the shore. Okay, that makes sense. So I turned my surfboard towards the shore and I noticed that they're all sitting on their surfboard with their legs under it and their arms just, here or crossed or whatever. And they're just chilling out waiting for the wave. So I go, finally, right? So I fold my arms. I'm not even sitting on my board, okay? We won't even talk about my skill level. I'm literally laying flat on it, right? So I fold my arms and I put my head down and I decide I'll just take a little breather because I could feel my heart beating in my chest, in my ears, in my head, right? And so I'll just take a little breather. And as I'm taking this little breather, my brother goes, sis, okay, so here's the deal. Now you need to be watching for the wave because, we want to catch the wave. And I'm like, well, duh, right? That's what surfers do. So be watching constantly for the wave. And when you see the wave, you need to start paddling harder than you've ever paddled in your life to catch the wave. I'm like, got it. And I'm thinking in my internal dialogue, you have got to be kidding me. I don't have anything left in me. Paddling harder than I've ever paddled. I thought I was going to die getting out here. And so I go, good, got it, right? The coolest thing happened to me when we saw the wave. He goes, sis, here it comes, start paddling. When I saw the wave coming, that adrenaline just overtook me. And I was paddling like a pro, right? I'm paddling because I'm going to catch this wave. And friends, here's what happened to me. Here's my surfboard. The wave came. I went up on the wave. I'm paddling for everything I am. And my surfboard went back down the other side. Not the side to surf on, the back side of the wave. See, because I didn't have any idea what to do. I really had no skill. I hadn't practiced. I wasn't prepared to surf. Here's what I actually thought, okay? And I know it's embarrassing, but it's the truth. I thought if I could get out there, I would just surf in, right? Like if you could get out there, you just stand up on the surfboard and it takes you in. I never even got on my knees on that surfboard. I couldn't catch my balance. It was ridiculous. But here's where this ties into us right now. We're all out there. We didn't paddle out there by choice. It just happened. We got out there. The tide took us, the waves took us. We just got out there, right? And we're all out there floating. Some of us are sitting and we're looking all cool on our surfboards waiting for the wave to come. And some of us have got our head down and we're just sleeping because we're exhausted. We've got our head in the sand. We're so overtaken by what this is going to look like when it's all over that we're just hanging out there, right? See, we've been out there before. If you've been in the market, you were out there in the Great Recession. Again, maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, you were out there. And we had to do what we had to do to be ready for what was about to come. And that's where we are today. We are all out there right now, floating, waiting for the wave to come. But success comes to those who get in front of the inevitable. Are you doing what you need to do to be prepared for when that wave comes? I love this quote. If you dislike change, you're going to dislike irrelevance even more. One of my close ninja friends gave this to me. I don't know, it's been 3 or 4 weeks ago now. I probably am going to share it the rest of my life. It speaks to me. Agents have said things to me like, Terry, I'm just not meant for a market like this. I mean, this whole technology thing, this Zoom thing, are you kidding me? Like, I can't get it. I can't find where my camera should be. I can't tell if I should have it tilted back or forward, or, I just don't like this at all. Hey, let me just share this with you. If you dislike what's going on now, you're going to dislike irrelevance even more, because that's what we'll become if we don't take action today. Now, I'm not willing to share a quote of anyone unless I know who they are, why they are. It's just kind of my rule with myself. So I want to tell you a little bit about this guy, Eric Shinseki. I looked him up to see who he was so that I would be certain that I was willing to share this quote with you. And another tidbit about me that you probably aren't aware of, because we don't know each other, all of us, but I'm an Army wife. My husband retired from the Army after 34 years, Command Sergeant Major in the Army, the highest rank you can be in the Army as a non-commissioned officer. And so he's a Command Sergeant Major of the Army. I'm very well aware of military. I'm very pro-military because I've lived it for decades, right? So I look up Eric Shinseki, and boy, did I learn some just amazing facts. So I want to share them with you. So he's the very first Asian American 4-star general in the Army. He was the 34th Secretary of Veterans Affairs. He was the 7th Chief of Staff of the Army. Those are all really impressive. They really are, especially if you're military. You know how hard it is to work through the ranks. But then I read this, and this just blew my mind. He got 5 medals in Vietnam. 3 of them were Bronze Stars, and 2 of them were Purple Hearts. Now, you don't have to know a lot about the military. I'll just tell you what you need to know. But they don't just hand those out. They're not a war medal, like you were in the Korean War, here's your medal. To earn these Bronze Stars or Purple Hearts, a lot of things had to happen, and you had to perform at a level that most of us can't even fathom. When I read that, here's what my thought process. Now I'm not talking facts that I looked up on Wikipedia. Now I'm talking my own derivation on what his story might look like. He got these 5 medals while he was in Vietnam. So let's just call it the 60s. So from the 60s to present, 2020, is 60 years. I don't know how old he is, but that 60-year span, that 60 years of performance that he has been through. Let me ask you what I asked myself. Do you think that General Shinseki ever did not like the change that was going on? And of course, the answer has to be absolutely. There might have been times where he didn't like the political climate of the country. There might have been times where orders came down from the Pentagon that he didn't like and didn't agree with, but he had to take action. There might have been times when his leadership told him to do things within the US Army that he didn't want to do. But here's my question to us. If we're willing, if we don't like change, we're going to dislike irrelevance even more. Are we willing to change? Because what I believe about General Shinseki, that I want to believe about every one of us, is that he is a master at adapting to change. He evolved through all those decades, 6 decades at the very least, of change in order to get where he is today. What are you willing to do to get where you want to get in life? Not just in business, but in life. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to adapt to change? Some of you might be saying this to yourself right now. Oh, Terry, wow, have I blown the last 5 or 6 weeks? Stop. Please don't ever say that again. Today's a new day. Start right this minute and become a player. So now I want to segue into our skill set and our actions. All that previously was about our mindset, but now I want to talk about our skill set and our actions. What am I doing to become a better version of me during this pandemic? I believe that this season is a season to establish, strengthen, retool, rework my habits and my routines. What do they look like? What do I want my new normal to look like? Because if you're like me, many times in my decades of life, I've said out loud, in prayer, into whoever you talk to, whatever, things like this. And I'm going to bet every person on this call has said it to you. If only I had a week that I would, you fill in the blanks. If only I had a month, I could, and I would, you fill it in. Now we've been given, Terry, here you go. Here's 6 weeks today. Here's 6 weeks to do with as you like. What would you like to do with it? I want to tell you another little story because I want to be transparent so that you know you're not alone. So this whole pandemic started in early March, right? But on March 11th, I thought that my husband had a stroke. Come to find out, he didn't. He had a series of seizures, but we were in the hospital, and I say we because I never left his side, from the 11th to the 15th. And on the 15th, which was Sunday, we got released to come home. Well, that was about the time that this was all happening. And I didn't realize it. My focus was not on the world. My focus was right on my relationship. And so we got home on the 15th, and I was exhausted. I'd been sleeping on this recliner that they brought me, that they said, here, we brought you this so you could sleep better. I didn't, but that was super nice of them. They were amazing. And so I slept there, and I was exhausted. And so we get home on the 15th, and the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th, those first 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I slept until Mr. Johnson woke up. My husband's name is Larry Johnson. I slept till Mr. Johnson woke up. And then I would get up, take care of his needs, and then I would make us breakfast, and then we would eat, and I would clean up, and then I would be taking a nap by 10:30, maybe 11. And then I would get up and we'd have lunch, and then I would adjourn out to the couch on the back palapa. And I would say, I'm just going to go out back. But the truth is, I was taking another nap. I was just exhausted mentally. And I thought to myself, and physically, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, so I've got like a month off. I'm just going to totally take advantage of this and veg out. On day number 4, on the 19th of March, I woke up and a voice said to me, you would have never heard it. It was not audible as in audible where you could hear it, but I heard it loud and clear. And here's what it said to me. And in this pitch, tone, and tempo, you got to get it. What are you doing? And I immediately responded, and I said, you're right. What am I doing? This is not me. I love to sleep in. Trust me, I do. I love to sleep. But I'm not a sleep till I wake up, make breakfast, sleep all afternoon. That's just not who I am, okay? And I went, you're right. What am I doing? And I began to realize that this time I've been given was a gift. Yes, there are many negatives that will come with this gift, but if I'll look at it in the positive, what's the silver lining? I get to get better at, I get to become more proficient at, I get to accomplish this or that because I've been given this gift of time. So I want to ask you, starting today, what routines and habits are you strengthening? Are you retooling? Are you rethinking? Are you making habitual? What are you going to be like when you come out the other side of this pandemic? Because ninjas don't want to just survive. We want to thrive. So I want to close in my last 5 minutes with just a quick, I am not going to unpack the entire Ninja 9. And the reason I'm not is because the 5 free webinars, probably at least 3 of them did in a very short version, but they did. But I do want to talk about the 9 habits of highly effective ninjas all around the country and what that looks like. And I'm not going to unpack all of them, but I want to talk about 3 of them. And the 3 I want to talk about are number 1 and 2. 1 is gratitudes and affirmations. Am I getting up daily and getting myself in the right mindset? On one of these calls just a few days ago, one of the questions, which we'll talk about in just a moment, I want to hear from you if you have any questions, was, Terry, how do I get myself out of this negative and funk that I'm in? Because I've been there the whole time. The number one way to start getting ourselves in the right mindset is gratitude, giving thanks. What science has proved to us is we can't be down and be grateful at the same time. So three gratitudes daily. What am I grateful for? If you really want to get serious about this, write them down. What am I grateful for? Habit number 2 is show up. Are you showing up? I don't mean, are you showing up? Is your hair done? You're not in your sweats? That's not what I mean. I mean, mentally, are you influencing yourself daily to get the best out of that day? And it doesn't all have to be work. I was on a Zoom call with my partners at Ninja yesterday, and it's a 2-hour call typically. It's become a 2-hour call every week. And I said, okay, here's the deal, you guys. I'm out at 3 o'clock. I'm having a party. My granddaughter's turning 9, and all 6 of us are going to physically distance in the backyard, and I'm having a party. I'm out at 3 o'clock. Have fun. Do the things that you've always wanted to do. We can be done with our work in short order in the mornings, but show up, be on purpose. Don't let the day just consume you and another day go by and go, wow, where did that day go? Where did that week go? Where did that month go? And then lastly, let's talk about habit number 8. And that's the one that says we should be talking to 50 people a week, 10 people a day. I want to encourage you, challenge you. Are you picking up the phone and talking to your people? And I don't mean text and email. You can text and email, but please pick up the phone. In fact, I'm going to challenge you. I'm really going to challenge you. FaceTime some people. I know what you're thinking. Terry, I would never do that. I would never, ever pick up the phone and FaceTime someone without asking for their permission. And my response to that is, why wouldn't you? We're their proactive, trusted real estate advisor. They love us. We love them. Why wouldn't we pick up the phone and ask them how they are? How are you feeling? What's going on? I want to encourage you to communicate with your people. You first, then your people, then your people, and then your people. Because that's what will position us to catch the wave when the entire market opens back up. And if we're not ready for it, exactly what happened to me during that wave, during that surf session, will happen to you. You'll go up on the wave and then back down the back side of it. And all those people that were ready, that were talking to their people, that were loving on their people, asking how their family, their work, their recreation, and their dreams, forward questions, those people will see us as their trusted advisor. I hope, and I think the reason that you were willing to show up today was because you see me as someone like that in your life. And so I just want to ask, would you please reach out? Let me be a resource to you. Go to my business Facebook page and follow me, and let's communicate. And that is, how do you get there? At Terry Johnson, the One Realtor, the Ninja Realtor. I don't know how to get there. I'll get it to Jackie. How about that? And she can distribute it. But let's communicate. I am here for you. I'm not working just like you're not working. I mean, I'm working, but I'm staying in as much as possible. So I want to ask you, are you willing to do that for your people during this pandemic? So I'm going to stop here, and Jackie is going to open up the question and answer section. And if you have any questions, any comments, would you note, not in the chat, but in the question and answer section, so we can see them all and we can record them? Is there anything I could answer for you? How do you do this? How do you do that? I would love to help you. So Jackie, take it away.
Terry, we have a number of, well, actually the chat has been blowing up, as have the questions and answers, asking about the Ninja series and the webinars that are available. Okay. And my answer to everyone, I've been answering some folks individually, but my answer for everyone is great news. Those are going to be rolled out as the Hannah U class of the day over the coming week. And so you get notifications every morning about what the class of the day is. Those will all be the Ninja webinars to which Terry was referring. And also, they are available on HannahU. If you are somebody who regularly visits HannahU, you will absolutely be able to get in there. And if you want to binge on everything Ninja, it's all right there. So we'll be sending out instructions for the path to all of those and to them individually. And so we will have that taken care of. So what I'm seeing in the Q&A right now, Terry, is a lot of gratitude. We're seeing a lot of people talking about thanking you, and Mick Shaw specifically said, please, thanks to you, and please thank Mr. Johnson for his service as well.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody is saying this was great motivation. People are saying they would love the webinars, and yes, indeed, ask and you shall receive on those. And people are commenting that things were excellent. Let me just flip over for a moment to chat and see what we have. Everybody's saying great motivation, wonderful input. And here on the Q&A, hang on one second, let's just see what else we have. Carrie, let's see, Camille said, I love this presentation and needed to hear it today. This is wonderful and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Gloria said, this is excellent. Thank you, just what I needed. And Christina said, thank you and all the best to your husband. The 5-part series, Michelle, as we said, that is what you're going to see as the HannahU class of the day. Those will be coming over the next week and as the HannahU class of the day. So watch your email in the mornings. Those are also available on HannahU for all of you to grab as you wish. So push or pull whatever you would like. People are saying, oh, Susan said, really needed this. I took the Ninja class and it was terrific. You have lots of your ninjas, Terry, that you've already trained on.
Wonderful. Good.
Really needed this. Thank you. This was fabulous. Grateful for the class. Lots of gratitude. And someone just said, I'm going to download the book. So lots of people are looking at Ninja selling right now in every possible way. Susan said, compelling, best to you and yours in this strangest of times. So I think that pretty much addresses it. If anybody, let's see what other questions we have. What's next? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Doug Frederick just said, what's next? Is there a Hannah organized sign up for the Ninja course? We are in discussions with Lauren at Ninja Selling, and I am delighted to let you all know that yes, we are planning on multiple Ninja installations after the first of the year, when Terry and her colleagues become more available for actual in-person training as opposed to distance learning. And so we will be signing on in what we're hoping is each of our major market areas. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, study everything you already have access to between the Ninja Selling book and the webinars that we'll be rolling out.
Very good. Well, thank you all for being here. You are as much a blessing to me as I was to you. You're more than welcome, and it's an honor to serve you. I'm here for you anytime you need me. And Jackie, you want me for 5 minutes or 5 hours, all you got to do is get on my calendar.
Absolutely, Terry, and you know we will.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye now.